Chapter 36. Excuse me, thank you. Receiving her backpack, Jiang Ran followed the others through the massive steel gate and entered the safe zone. The gate was about 3 meters wide and over 10 meters high, imposing and cold. Jiang Ran didn't know how such a colossal project had been built in just 2 months. Walking along a 1-meter wide corridor, Jiang Ran felt a sense of oppression brought on by the tall walls and heavily armed guards above. Any movement below would result in the guards opening fire with all their might, making it impossible for anyone to enter the safe zone. Jiang Ran didn't like this feeling, so she picked up her pace and caught up with the others. As she emerged from the narrow gate, the scene ahead suddenly opened up, and Jiang Ran let out a sigh of relief. She looked back at the imposing gate, and Guan and Xiaowan followed behind her. Letting out a breath, Xiaowan couldn't help but murmur, "This is too oppressive. It feels like entering a prison." Guan chuckled, "Well, a prison it is. Where else in the world is safer than a prison and with stricter guards?" As they were talking, the Ji brothers also caught up. The group continued to move along the edge of the wall, following the procession. Soon, a low cluster of shanties came into view, and the people in front started expressing their dissatisfaction. "You expect us to live here? Isn't there a lot of tall buildings and houses inside? Can't they spare a few vacant rooms for us? Do they really see us as beggars?" The surrounding soldiers remained unmoved and paid no attention to the questions from the crowd. Just as the situation was getting heated, a woman in work attire approached. "I'm truly sorry. Housing is scarce in the city, and there are no extra vacant rooms. Once you settle down, you can exchange your points at the government hall. Different amounts of points can be used to rent different priced houses. There's also an ample supply of water, electricity, and gas in the city. I believe the safe zone will satisfy everyone, but for now, please bear with the inconvenience. Even before the apocalypse, if you had no money, you could only sleep on the streets, right?" The woman's tone was mild, but her words were straightforward, clearly explaining the rule that material resources were paramount in the safe zone. "What nonsense are you talking about? Times are tough, and this is how you treat the common people. People inside are living large, while we have to suffer outside. We absolutely won't live in shanties." "That's right. We won't live in shanties." The group of evacuees was discontented. They had come a long way, not to live like beggars, but to seek help and relief from the authorities and to lead stable lives. The commotion at the entrance allowed the people in the front to vent their frustrations. Now that they were inside the safe zone, did they still dare to resort to violence? Emotions became more heated. Jiang Ran, however, remained calm and looked at the shanty area in the distance. On a casual glance, it seemed awful, but upon closer inspection, quite a few shanties were thoughtfully built. Some were better than others. Quickly scanning the shanty area, Jiang Ran spotted a well-built wooden shack that she liked. Given the current high temperatures, such a shack would be preferable, as it wouldn't be too stuffy. It would cool down quickly in the evening too. At that moment, Ji Qingcheng walked up to Jiang Ran and quietly warned, "The guns these soldiers have are loaded. If things get too intense, they might actually open fire." Upon Ji Qingcheng's reminder, Jiang Ran withdrew her gaze from the shack she had her eye on and looked at the soldiers on both sides. Sure enough, their guns were loaded. So, Jiang Ran made a decisive decision. While the others were still clinging to their hopes, she decided to pick a satisfactory house for herself. Amidst the intense argument, she moved through the crowd and made her way towards the shanty area in the distance. Ji Qingcheng pulled his younger brother along, and Guan followed behind with his wife. Since the crowd had blocked the way due to their heated argument, Jiang Ran had to be polite. "Excuse me." "Thank you." "Thank you." "Excuse me, thank you." Just as the people were fervently arguing, a polite voice suddenly sounded, breaking the tension. Following the voice, they encountered a friendly smile that led the way. People automatically made space for the person with the smile, and Jiang Ran and her team followed suit, moving forward like worms burrowing through the crowd. Jiang Ran's actions caught the attention of the woman in uniform, and her pretty peach blossom eyes revealed a hint of interest. She chuckled inwardly. She was someone who understood the current situation. While the others were still bewildered, Jiang Ran and her team moved through the crowd and headed straight for the few better shanties. Someone voiced a complaint. "How can you do this? We should be united against the evil forces, and yet, you're bowing down to them. Cowards! Afraid of death." Ignoring the insults from behind, Jiang Ran tossed her backpack into the chosen shack, checked its condition, then turned around to face the rest of the people. "We're seizing the moment and recognizing the situation. We're not afraid of death. Why did you enter the safe zone to roam around outside? You. What's wrong with me? You're bulletproof, but we're not." Hearing Jiang Ran's words, many people felt a twinge of fear and looked at the soldiers on either side. They wouldn't really open fire, would they? The person who had been so vocal earlier also felt a little uneasy and could only respond angrily. "You're just being crafty." The woman in uniform, however, was increasingly intrigued by Jiang Ran. She was subtly hinting that the guns were loaded and that there might be gunfire. Right after hesitating for a moment, many people lost their resolve and began to feel disheartened. They hurriedly walked over to pick better shanties. With fewer people around now, some still had the opportunity to choose decent locations. After adjusting their expectations, the crowd suddenly realized that the shanties weren't that bad. At least they didn't need to worry about danger at night. The dispute was resolved in this invisible manner. Looking away, the woman in uniform addressed the crowd. "From now on, this is where everyone will be settled. If you want a better place to live, you can find work in the city to earn points. You can also go to the government hall to receive tasks, which can also be exchanged for points. And points are equivalent to currency. You can use them to rent or purchase houses, buy food, or even purchase firearms and ammunition. So, work hard, everyone." With that, the woman turned and left, and the crowd began discussing their options. The shanties of the other 4 people were also located near Jiang Ran. Xiaowan exclaimed with delight, "This place is pretty well equipped. There are job positions available too. Tomorrow, we can try our luck in the city. If we can find a well-paying job, we can settle down." Guan also sighed with some emotion. "We're finally settling down." Jiang Ran was also pleased. She could finally live a happy and carefree life, and when her physique became even stronger after some time, what would she have to fear mutated creatures and bullets from now on? There was only one goal: to live the good life to the fullest. The Ji Cheng brothers were also intrigued. After running around for so long, who wouldn't want to live a stable life? As for other considerations, they could be dealt with later.